Hello and welcome to the Division 4 event in the United Racing League. I'm Tom Cairns in the commentary box. Alongside me is Tommy, who's with me to help provide the details for tonight's event. Good evening, Tommy.
Good evening, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you, dude. And what can you think of a better location to watch any particular race than Spa-Francorchamps? It is what an elegant circuit it is.
It's the longest circuit on the calendar, and the weather can be a bit, it can change a lot here, so I'm looking forward to it.
For sure, and we've got 20 drivers ready to go for this 18-minute qualifying session to determine who will start on pole position, second, third, and so on, followed by a 22-lap race of the Spa-Francorchamps circuit. Now, it would have been a Division 4 event. This should be a very, very competitive series, and given what you've seen in the Division 5 race last night, if that's anything to go by, well, goodness.
Well, there was changeable conditions there, but I'm not too sure about today. But it was a race of strategy here. But I'm wondering if anyone's going to be good enough or brave enough to try the medium tyre and try an alternate strategy.
Mm-hmm. So looking at the championship standings at the moment, Bratio2, who won last time out at Silverstone 2 weeks ago, at the expense of Rydell and Halaquendi colliding with each other at the penultimate lap at Club Corner, that handed the victory to Bratti, with Rydell coming home third behind Halaquendi, but that could so easily have been Halaquendi's victory or Rydell's as well. We're starting to see drivers making their way out onto the circuit. There you can see is Leocat in the Williams. And I'm looking to see where he is in the championship. I believe this is his first outing in the Division 4 category, so we don't exactly know what pace he has got in him, but if he's in the Division 4 category, we would assume he's got good enough pace in him to start quite high up on the grid. So looking further down, Pellegrini coming out of the pits as well, Alaquendi is as well. So the drivers taking the first minute or so to complete their necessary car setups. Now, on a track like Spa, considering how long the lap it is, you don't get as many chances to complete a flying lap as you would do on circuits like the Red Bull Ring, Interlagos and other circuits.
I have spotted one of the Ferraris, I believe, out on mediums. So, like I was saying earlier, there is that chance for an alternate strategy.
Mm-hmm. And of course, the top 10 qualifiers have to start the race on the same set of tyres they had set their fastest qualifying time on. The bottom 10, so from 11th down to 20th, they can start on whatever tyres they like. So is Amado thinking more about the race at the moment than he is about qualifying? Because is qualifying that important when it comes to racing here at Spa?
Well, I'd like to put out a few alternatives to that explanation there. First of all, there's obviously less, they have a selection of how many soft tyres they can use, so maybe he's just using this for his first run. And also, with track position, the Kemmel Straight, as we have seen in many events around Spa, there is a very good slipstream and a very good chance to change position on the first lap. So, what we might see at the starting grid, we might not see that by the end of the Kemmel Straight.
So Leocat, the first driver to start a flying lap, it's a 29.9 at the end of Sector 1. Looking to nail each and every apex he goes through. This is the right-hander, the hairpin, following the Lecom. And this is a corner that has no name to it. And then we go down this fast left-hander of Pawn, which takes us to Fagna, and then Stavolo, and then heading towards Blanchimont, and then the bust-up chicane to complete the lap. So how is Leocat through Bruxelles or Fagna? He slid in the entry of it, but recovered well on the exit. This is Stavolo's who's coming through now, riding on board. And he seems to have nailed that so well. It's just a matter of just maintaining that momentum all the way through to the end of this particular flying lap, providing he keeps the car within the confinements of the racetrack as well. Oh, it spins! He's lost it! Oh, he has lost it. Very lucky to keep it out of the barriers there, Leocat. perhaps being a bit too greedy over the curves there, but he's pointing the wrong way. He's got to be very careful, because otherwise this could result in... Oh, he's reset the car back onto the track. I'm not sure that's within the regulations. No, that... Oh, he just... Oh, that was... Yeah, that's a bit naughty, that, from Learcat. One, he should not have reset the car back onto the track. And two, he forced another driver out wide.
Well, it looks like he just got up on the curb, and that's obviously... And that could, depending on how many tyres he's got, that could mean he's got to run on those tyres again. And we know spins don't do well for tyre wear.
So we are starting to see some times already. Kowalski quickest so far on a 41.5, with Alaquendi in second on a 41.7. Mr. BT setting an almost identical lap time in third, and it's Cross Nation in fourth on a 41.9. Sassy Pickle, one of the reserves for this evening in the McLaren, he goes fifth on a 42.1. Fett Bass, the only other driver to set a lap time, but his lap time was compromised by Learcat's excursion, which forced him onto the grass and cost him valuable lap time. I wonder if the stewards may have a look at that, because that was quite dangerous on Learcat, the manner of which he rejoined as well.
Well, he shouldn't have rejoined. He should have just waited for the car to go past, obviously, because that might have... I don't know if the Haas was on a lap or not, but if he was, it would have ruined his lap.
Mm-hmm. So Josh Nater, another one of the reserves, is on a 42.6 on the soft compound. Izamadu has gone only 10th fastest on the 43.1, so is the medium tyre a good enough qualifying tyre for him to be on? Or will he decide to... I wonder if maybe...
someone's off.
Someone...
It's Mercedes.
It's a Mercedes. I wonder if it's Bucco who's had a moment somewhere, or is it Alaquendi who's had a moment? Might have been Bucco, because his lap time's invalidated. There's no damage to his front wing. He's just allowed a Rebel to go past him.
Perhaps he was just getting out of the way. I only saw the last part of that.
Yeah. So just looking to see who else is on a flying lap at the moment. Rez Liam is on a flying lap, but his lap time's invalidated for exceeding track limits, so will come away from him. And Ray 42 has had his lap time invalidated as well. So drivers pushing too hard too soon. Now this thing with track limits, you really want to get a banker lap in, but you just don't want to be too slow out of corners. And we're starting to see drivers trying to nail the apex as best as they can without exceeding the track limits.
Yes, of course, because corner cutting rules on strict here, as we have seen in a lot of races, and especially in other races like open lobbies. It is very hard for people to keep within track limits all the time, so I expect we've seen a few penalties in the race as well.
So Brian B on a flying lap in the AlphaTauri, legal so far as well. And looking at the driver standings after 6 rounds out of 12, so we are at the halfway point. Berardi has a 19-point lead over Ryderdale in second place, with Alaquendi a further 9 points behind in third. And the next driver he has to go down to is actually Learcat. I was mistaken myself actually in terms of how many races Learcat has done in the URL in Division 4. Well, he's done 3 races. In fact, he's got a 4th place finish in Zandvoort, a 3rd place finish in Paul Ricard, and a 4th place finish last time out at Silverstone. But he's not having a good session so far, and I wonder if the stewards may have a book to throw at him for the manner of which he rejoined back on the circuit. But more on that later. Berardi is fastest on a 41.4. Kowalski is second for Renault on a 41.5. And it's Alaquendi in third, Mr. BT fourth, and Cross Nation making it 2 runners in the top 5.
Well, it seems to be quite close at the front with between the front 5, a little bit of a gap behind, and as Brian B goes 6th. I was on board with him, and he got a really good exit going into Blanchimont, but I don't think he maximised the lap time because he wasn't really using all the track.
One driver who'll be looking to use as much track as possible is Pastor. He's coming through Stavolo, 1 minute 13.8. It's hard to compare the lap times when they haven't already set a lap time themselves. I wonder if that's something that Codemasters may choose to consider, trying to get an algorithm sorted in terms of comparing a driver's lap time to the fastest lap time. Either way, here's Pastor, who's coming through the bus stop chicane. There is a car ahead of him. That is an Alfa Romeo, just about getting out of the way, actually. I thought it was going to hinder him at the apex of the bus stop, but he did get out of the way in time. Pastor over the line. It's going to be a 42.0 that puts him in 6th place.
just looking around the rest of the field, no one seems to be on an absolute flyer looking at sector times, but I haven't seen everyone, so there could be a quick lap coming soon.
And Leocat finally posting a lap time of a 1 minute 42.1 for him. And drivers who are also on a flying lap, Pellegrini is on a flying lap. He's just going through what looks like Bruxelles. And then Genu, who had only just got out.
He gets a bit loose on the rear end. Using second gear and shifting up quite early through Genu. And he goes a little bit wide through the corner with no name.
So here's
Great
Pellegrini coming
through P1.
Yeah, Pellegrini's just had his lap invalidated for exceeding track limits at Stavelot, so he'll probably need to come back into the pits as he is running out of fuel. But Genu on a 29.8 through sector 1. Can he keep his car within the confinements of the racetrack? No, he can't. Exceeding track limits at the exit of Stavelot, and that's his lap over, and he'll have to go again.
Went a bit over the curb. It wasn't really that far over, but you know this game can be very harsh sometimes. And looking down the rest of the field, the Ferrari on the mediums is 1.7 seconds off the pace, and I think the delta's around 8 tenths around here. So maybe that will maybe that isn't the exact, you know, where he'll be in the order, but I don't think he'll have to go again if he wants to get any further up the grid.
And Kowalski posting a better second sector time so far in the Renault. He is over a tenth away from Bratti's provisional pole position time. So he's coming through the bus stop chicane here now, nailing the apex of turns 19
That was great
and 20.
commitment.
Great commitment indeed. DRS open on the start finish straight, opened it quite late actually, but it's still good enough to put into provisional pole position by nearly 0.2 of a second. Great lap there from Kowalski.
I was watching him into the bus stop chicane. He braked just after the 100-meter board, and he was very committed through the bus. He hit each apex and didn't get too much wheel spin on the exit, so it didn't cost him.
Bucco crossing over the line for Mercedes. He goes up to 6th place. And I was just watching Alequendi just a second ago. I thought he was going to go fastest until he got too much wheel spin coming out of the bus stop chicane. That cost him potentially pole position there. Possibly.
The wheel spin can cost, depends how big the wheel spin was, because it can cost up to 3 tenths in some cases, and sometimes it can cost just half a tenth. So the drivers need to try and minimise it, because even if you lose half a tenth, that could be the difference between first and second.
Sussy Pickle and Josh Inator posting new times. Sussy Pickle going 8 fastest on a 41.9. Josh Inator going 13 fastest on a 42.1. So the lap time's clearly coming down. And what's worrying me at the moment, Tommy, is the fact that there's rain hanging over the circuit. Well, I say rain hanging over the circuit. There's definitely some dark clouds hanging over the Spa-Francorchamps circuit. Is rain looming in?
Well, now you point it out. I wasn't really looking, but now you point it out, yes. Well, yesterday in the Div 5 race, that I'm not sure what the weather is for the race, but this could, you know, throw a curveball, because if the drivers don't get in their laps soon or soon enough, they might miss out on improvements. And also that Ferrari that was on the medium tyres has now switched to soft, and he has gone up to 7th.
So Izamado deciding to... I think he perhaps wanted to do it to save a set of soft tyres, perhaps for the race later. So it may not necessarily be that Izamado is going to use that medium tyre at the beginning of the race. He just wanted to make sure he got some form of banker lap in before he decided to go on a second run on the softer compound.
It is good to have a delta, because you can see where you're improving and see where you're going to be losing. So it is good like that to have a delta, but obviously on different tyre sets you have different amount of grip. So I'm not sure how useful the delta itself would be, but certainly he's gone nearly a second quicker with that lap. So like I said, the delta between the tyres might be around a second, considering it is it will be larger than a normal track just because it's the longest track on the calendar.
So Ray, who is one of 4 drivers yet to post a lap time, there's over 3 minutes remaining. And Ray has yet to post a lap time at the moment. He's a 1 minute 13.3 through the second sector. So can he get into a 1 minute 41 by the end of this one? He can most certainly.
Good
1 minute
lap.
41. Yeah, third fastest for Ray 42 on a 1:41.4. That puts him just
I believe
3,000.
this is his first race
Yeah, and
in the division.
yeah, indeed, and his pace is showing it, justifying why he most certainly belongs in this division, if not higher. Genu is
Only
also
4,000 of his teammate, who's the championship leader.
Now that most certainly is interesting. Now I don't know how high up in the championship he can be. It may be fourth actually. If you look at the battle for fourth in the driver standings, now the top three are well clear of everyone else. But Learcat has 39 points in fourth place, and you know if Ray was to win the next two races all of a sudden, it may be sounding very, very crazy of me to say that, but you never know in races like this. You know, the championship can change ever so quickly.
Well, oh, there's rain. There is rain. There's a bit of flash of rain, and it is raining now.
Yeah, you can definitely see it. You can tell on the halo of Learcat's Williams that the rain is falling. Now, there's only 2 minutes to go here, but if you're someone who's not posted a lap time so far, you'll want to get out there as soon as you can to get some form of lap in. Learcat going through the bus-stop chicane now in the Williams with less than 2 minutes remaining. DRS open, and it'll be a 1 minute 41.7, 5th fastest for Learcat. It's a good lap time, actually, to put him up there. We've got Genu, who's also completing the lap in the Alfa Romeo. What can he produce here? DRS open, and it's going to be a 1 minute 41.6, 5th fastest for him, so he goes in front of Learcat, but Pastor posts an even better lap in the Red Bull, 1 minute 41.5. There's a Renault coming up behind him now. That'll be Cross Nation, who I think is just starting his last flying lap. I don't know how much time he can find over the course of this last run, but just looking at Pellegrini, who's just started what will be his one and only flying lap, but I'm not sure how much time he's going to find, if I'm honest with you. I want to go back to the front because we've seen who is improving at the moment. Mr. BT most certainly is. He's gone up to 5th on a 41.6 for him. There's a McLaren next over.
Crust has just made a mistake going into the chicane, and on the exit he's used all the curves. Did he get his lap invalidated? No, he didn't. But I'm just on board with him, and he really didn't get going down after the Kemmel straight. He really didn't get the turning right for the chicane, but he's very committed through Pouon, a bit too committed as he hits the curb, and that spits him out wide, but he stays on track just about.
And I think we're going to struggle to see drivers improving the time. I wonder if Eloquendi's improved, actually. I think he did, up to 6th fastest. He didn't find that much time, but at least he's improved. And nevertheless, Genu up to 7th place with his lap, and Learcat improving to 5th now. So he did actually find some more time on that lap. So the checker flag is about to fall down now. So we've got a Williams who's just coming into the pits. We've got a Renault. I believe that's Cross Nation. Has he managed to find any more time on this lap? He's still going for it.
I've been on board with him, and he didn't look too good.
No, he's 7 inches away, 15th fastest for Cross Nation. He'll be disappointed with that. Cross Nation, Pellegrini, we just saw a Ferrari, I think, going onto the grass there. Not sure what that is all about.
Cross Nation got the turning all wrong for the chicane after the Kemmel straight. He'll be kicking himself because he wasn't that far off his best lap time, and that would have cost him around a 10th or 2.
So we're starting to see drivers showing off now, particularly the Haas of Fetbus, who's just spun at the bus stop chicane. But he knows that he's not going to be able to find any more time on this lap. But we can confirm that Kowalski is on pole position for Renault ahead of Rati and Ray, who competes for the first time in the Division 4 category of the United Racing League. Good to see him qualifying up that high. And we've got Pastor in 4th place, one of the reserve drivers up there in 4th. Then we've got Learcat 5th, Mr. BT in 6th place, Heliquendi a disappointing 7th for him. Then it's Il Genu in 8th, Brian B in 9th, Fetbus running out the top 10. Now Ryderdale, I'm not sure if he's in this one. No, he's not even competing in this one, is Ryderdale, so that's a bit of a shame because we would have loved to have seen him putting some form of pressure on Bratti in the championship. It doesn't look as though he will be competing tonight, but hopefully we'll see him back in the next event next week, that is. Now, just looking to see where they'll be racing at on the calendar. It'll be at Monza in Italy? Most certainly a driver's favourites.
After that session, I'm wondering if Kowalski really wants to be on pole. Like I said earlier, with the slipstream down the Kemmel Straight, will it just leave him vulnerable to the slipstream and being overtaken by not one but two looking very quick racing point drivers?
It'll be a very good point to see, and it depends how well he decides to fight it, or how much he decides to fight it to begin with, because the top 10, well, they've all got to start on the soft tyres. The others do not have to do that. So that'll be that'll be one to look out for in the race to come. So run down the grid. Kowalski on pole position for Renault, ahead of Bratti, the championship leader, alongside him. Then it's Ray and Pastor on row 2. Then it's Leocat and Mr. BT on row 3. Alaquendi and Genu on row 4. Brian and Vetbas on row 5. Then it's Buku and Izamadu on row 6. Sassy Pickle and Manajuvi King on row 7. Cross Nation and Josh Nater on row 8. Res Liam and Samot on row 9. Pellegrini didn't get a time in, and neither did Randy Goat.
It was a very interesting session. It looks to be quite close with the front three, and it's a little bit of a gap to fourth place, and but the rest of the field seems quite compact, so it should be close.
It should be close indeed. I'd be interested to know what the weather forecast is going to be for the Division 4 race. Now, if any drivers who are competing know about the weather, it'd be good for us to know as well, so we can spread that message to those who are watching.
I'm also wondering how many of these drivers have set up their car not for qualifying and just for the race. So maybe their qualifying position isn't indicative to what we'll see in the race. They might have great tyre wear or great in just general race pace.
We've just seen something that Randy Goat, who didn't set a time in qualifying, he tried to leave the lobby to let someone else in, and it put him in the Haas. So that could well explain why he was in the car, not Ryder Dell, which is a shame. But it is what it is, I'm afraid. But yeah, it's a bit of a shame that for Randy Goat, and of course he doesn't want to be sort of racing and interrupting the championship as well as a result of it all. So we're just waiting for the drivers to complete their race and tyre setups and the formation that will begin here at Spa. What can you expect from here, Tommy? Do you think Kowalski will play the long game, or will he actually fight it out to begin with?
I think he'll have to play the long game if he wants, if he really wants to think about it, because you really can't. It's not all won at the first corner. So just because he makes it into the first corner first doesn't mean he'll finish there.
So just looking at who is starting on whatever tyres. So as you well know, the top 10 starting on the same set of tyres that have set their fastest qualifying times on. Buku, Sassy Pickle, Manajuvi King, Josh Nater, Resliam, Samor and Pellegrini are all starting on the mediums. Everyone else on the softs.
Just looking at the medium tyre runners, they might... the soft runners might have a better strategy, I think, because if you're undercutting, as the strategies flash up on stream, if you're undercutting, you could get a significant advantage just due to the fact that the track is so long.
Mm-hmm. So Kowalski, looking at where he is in the championship, he's missed 3 races. He's got a win in Zandvoort, 5th in Paul Ricard, and a non-finish in that wet race in Austria. So that's...
Also, when it flashed up on screen, I noticed that it's possibly a 2-stop for soft tyre runners and a 1-stop for mediums. So that could be where the differing strategies maybe get closer on track near the end of the race. I would think, though, that the 1-stop would actually be quicker around here, so maybe I'll have to retract my statement from earlier.
And not to mention that a safety car could change the whole complexion in regards to strategy. Kowalski will most certainly be thinking of that, as well as the top 10. Now, if they get a safety car within the first 3 or 4 laps, that'll help them with their strategy as well, because they can go on to set the hard tyres, which that would take them to the end of the race. However, those who have started on the mediums would be praying for that to not be the case, as they
Well,
will have a...
there was 3 virtual safety cars yesterday and 2 normal safety cars in the Division 5 race. So if we see anything like that, that will be a very good thing for the soft tyre runners in preserving their tyres and possibly making it into a one-stop.
So Kowalski leads the drivers onto the grid. He's got 2 racing points to keep an eye out on. Pastor will be thinking about making a lunge down the inside. Now, the good news for Kowalski, I believe, is that because he started on the right-hand side, he'll have the inside line down into turn 1.
Yes, that's actually unusual for Formula One, with with a few exceptions, that the pole position is not on the outside. So that is.
Seem to have lost you there, Tommy, for a moment, but
My mic disconnected, sorry.
it's okay. The last few cars are on the grid now. You can see Pellegrini and Randigo filling their positions. The 5 red lights come on here at Spa. When they go out, we'll be racing here. Now, there seems to be this delay, so we're just waiting for the drivers to move. Lights out, and away we go. Kowalski gets off the line brilliantly. What about the racing points? We just see Bratti slotted in behind, but we got a collision. We got the other racing point of Ray, who spins around. Not sure who that was that tagged him into the barrier, but either way, his race is already compromised. I thought he was out of it at the moment, but the drivers are coming down to Eau Rouge, and it's Mr. BT who's got himself in front of Kowalski, would you believe? So Mr. BT leads the Belgian Grand Prix. Then it's Kowalski second. Then it's Liakat, Bratti, Tapasta in 4th place. It's Alaquandi and Ilgenu behind, and we've got a virtual safety car already because Manajuviking has binned it on the exit of Eau Rouge.
I thought Ray was very, very aggressive going into turn 1, and it seems to have not paid off for him.
And we've got Res Liam, who just blasts his way through the field as they come into Lake Com under the virtual safety car. He gave the positions back, rightly so. The car did ghost, so that he didn't take any other drivers out there with him. But what you're seeing on the leaderboard is, in fact, the current race lead. I think Randigo completely... I think he made a jump start, actually. I didn't come out saying he's a jump start.
I was
but
about
that car
to say.
And
he seemed to move just before everyone else did.
Well, we'll find out soon enough anyway, but let's just go by the book and say that Randigo is the race leader, and then maybe the stewards will have a look at it later. But Mr. BT is effectively the race leader, ahead of Kowalski, then Liakat, Bratti, Genu, Pastor, Fetbas, Alaquendi and Brian. We can see a battle for position as Pastor goes defensive on the Haas of Fetbas. Now Fetbas getting a better exit out of Stablo, pulling alongside as they enter Blanchimont. We've got a Mercedes in there as well, that's Alaquendi, who goes to the inside of the Red Bull. Can he make it? Another position gained as they go into the bus stop chicane. He'll have to do it the hard way though, as he goes round the outside, but Fetbus has it covered and stays in 7th position. And
just looking at the race director, sorry to interrupt you, but looking at the race director, Randy Goat doesn't seem to have a penalty, so he might be legitimately winning this race.
Yeah, there's sometimes a glitch actually, but that's something I think one of the fans will have to fill me in on. But it is early days, so anything can change from here on in. But Mr. BT is now under pressure from Kowalski for 2nd position now, and they go side by side as they go through the Kemmel Straight. Kowalski going to the outside. Who will break the later of the two? The answer is Kowalski. He goes up into 2nd place. Nice move there.
Yeah, indeed. Mr. BT seems to be using less ERS though, so that could be the reason why he didn't have the legs down towards the chicane, as he just wasn't using as much ERS.
And Fetbas was trying to make a move back on Eloquent. Got out of shape coming out of Bruxelles and then through the corner with no name. He's got a time penalty now for exceeding shut limits. I hope we don't get too many time penalties from drivers. As you well know, I'm not a big fan of it as it ends up diluting the racing. So the less penalties being dished out, the better for the racing. And you can see Randigo, because he's under the AI, he's not going to be as quick as the human drivers, and so he falls down to 3rd place behind Mr. BT.
Yeah, indeed.
So Kowalski leading the race now ahead of Mr. BT. Then Bratti is up to 3rd place. It's a matter of time before Liakat gets past the AI-controlled Haas of Randigoat. Genu is in 6th position, followed by Alaquendi, Fetbas, Brian B and Izamadu in 10th position. Just looking further behind in terms of who maybe have kept coming to the pits at the end of lap 1. Pastor was in the pits, Josh Nader was as well, and Ray, unsurprisingly, had to pit in for front wing damage. I thought his suspension
He's on
was
hard
damaged.
tyres.
He's on the hard tyres, so he's going to be going on a long second stint. But I suppose with it being a long lap, he's got a less chance of being lapped by the leaders in case we do get a safety
Is he
car.
going for a one stop?
I think that's
Because
asking
as we see, the predicted strategy came up on, and it looks like I said earlier, that it might be a two stop for soft tyre runners.
And DRS is now enabled, and Geno's going to make full use of it as he tries to get past the Williams of Leacat on the Camel Straight. To the outside he goes, into Lecom. Has he got the move done? He is still side by side, but Leacat has the high ground and keeps hold of his 4th place. Halaquendi remains in 6th, Fetbus up to 7th now, and we've got Brian who's just making his way through the ghosted Haas of Randy Goats. Izamado is in 11th place. He's just been overtaken. Oh, there's a collision. The Cross Nation spun at Bruxelles. He won't be too pleased with that move from Izamado. He's dropped down to 14th.
I didn't see what happened, so I can't put any input on it.
No, I mean, to be fair, Izamado just nudged him too much, to be honest with you. I think that's something the stewards may want to have a look at post-race. But Kowalski is only 8 tenths clear, so Mr. BT is still within DRS range to have a go either down the start-finish straight. It's only a short start-finish straight, to be honest with you, to get any manoeuvre done. It's pretty much the Camel Straight where the overtakes are going to be happening. Bratti, the championship leader, is in 3rd place now behind Mr. BT. He's closer to him than the Alfa Romeo is to Kowalski. And they're going through the bus-stop chicane for the 3rd time in this race. Bratti looking to put the Alfa Romeo under pressure as they go down the start-finish straight now. But the problem is for Bratti is that Mr. BT also has the DRS, and so he'll use that to pull away.
Mr. BT missed the exit there of turn 1, but was that just to get a better exit in general? Because as we know, you have more traction the further away you are from the apex, and but it does look like Bratti has got a very good run. So will he be able to get the legs of him? I don't think he will, as Mr. BT also has DRS.
Yeah, so Bratti, he'll try all he can, but that DRS is proving to be very effective on the Alfa Romeo. Geno up to 4th place ahead of Leacat. Alaquendi looking to make up for lost time in the Mercedes in 6th place. Let's have a look to see who has gained what from their grid positions. The biggest jumper is Pellegrini from 19th on the grid to 10th place already. He started on the medium compound as well, which will be even more handy for him, because as those who are on the softs start to fall away, this will very much play into the hands of Pellegrini to see him potentially take the lead later on.
Indeed, because with him gaining 9 positions and the fact he's on the mediums, that could give him track position and faster pace later at a later point in the race when he does put those soft tyres on.
So you can see Brian B having a fairly good race so far in the AlphaTauri in 8th place. Izamado is now 9th after the collision between him and Cross Nation. And Pellegrini just taking it easy in the Red Bull.
Sorry to interrupt you, Tom, but Bratti is very close to Mr. BT at the moment, and he was looking to have a move at the bus stop chicane, but he didn't quite have the legs on it.
Yeah, well spotted there, Tommy. And Bratti's now all over the back of Mr. BT as they come down to the start finish straight. But I think Mr. BT.
Oh, Mr. BT's made a mistake.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I was just going to say his entry wasn't particularly the best as they entered La Source, but I think Mr. BT may still be within range to use his DRS, but he gets a really poor exit out of Radion, and that's going to play into the hands of Bratti as they come into the DRS zone now, but Bratti's still too far back to have a go.
Indeed. I thought Mr. BT went very deep into turn 1 because I was riding on board with Bratti, but it didn't seem to have cost him that much as he's still in 2nd.
And BQ making a move on the Ferrari of Res Liam to put his Mercedes up to 11th place. Sassy Pickle getting ahead of Cross Nation as well. Doesn't seem to be too many other battles going on at the moment. We're just looking at Mr. BT in 2nd place. He's pretty much using that DRS to just not necessarily close in on Kowalski, but just to keep hold of 2nd place. Now, if you're Bratti, what do? Do you just sit behind him and wait for the pit stops? Or do you think, I've got to try and go for it if I'm going to win this race?
Well, I think the softs last to around lap 8 or 9, so the undercut range would be like lap 7, or possibly if you really want to try for it, lap 6. So we could see some pit stops soon. But if I were Bratti, I'd want to get the move done on track, just because if you then pit, you will have track position and you won't be under threat of an undercut.
So Bratti still close behind the Alfa Romeo of Mr. BT, and whilst these guys are closing in, you can see how close Genu, Licat and Alaquendi are to them. So you could say any one of these 6 could potentially win this race. It's going to be very much down to strategy, and if we do get
the pit stop open graphic has just popped up on my screen, and it says it is open for those runners who possibly want to go onto hards.
And Cross Nation is in the pits for a new front wing as well. He's taking the opportunity to get that front wing changed, and he's going on to a set of medium tyres, so he's going for a second stint, a longer second stint, but he may choose to pit again before the end of this race. But Cross Nation's race is already, well, it's compromised to say the least. I know I use that term quite a lot, but it's still an accurate statement.
I think my predictions of a 2-stop was inaccurate, as I think most people will pit onto that hard tyre instead of going mediums and pitting again onto softs in either stint, softs or mediums. So I think they'll just go for the hard tyres, because I think track position is very important in general.
Mr. BT, I wonder if he got a warning actually for exceeding track limits down at Fanya. He may have done, he may not. Only 3 drivers have got time penalties in this race so far. They are Fetbas, Samor and Cross Nation. Now, all of them, I assume, are 3-second time penalties, and they are. So, with how this game works, if it's a 3-second time penalty for exceeding track limits, you can't take that.
Bratti's very close hit again to Mr. BT. Oh, he's gone down the inside.
And Bratti moves his racing point up into second place ahead of Mr. BT. So that was a very, very audacious manoeuvre there, but he's got the move done. If he's going to do it, he's going to do it in a place where DRS is not utilised, and he used it to his advantage. So Bratti gets his racing point up into second place now, and he can go after the race leader, Kowalski.
Yeah, I saw him coming. He had a really good run all through the back straight and through Blanchimont. It was just very... Oh! Mr. BT's gone!
So Mr. BT has trashed it on the exit of Radion. We didn't quite pick it on the broadcast because we were watching Alaquendi, who's just coming into the pits for a change of tyres, and Mr. BT has binned it on the exit of Radion. He's out of the race, and the safety car has been deployed.
Well, do they... many pit stops, I would assume, are coming now, just because the fact it's cost so much less time to make a pit stop under the safety car. So... yeah, like you said, that is going to play into the hands of the soft tyre runners if they want to extend. But will they just want to pit for new tyres? And will some of the medium tyre runners want to eke out their tyres and stay out and possibly hold up some of the soft tyre runners?
Now, if replays were in this game, I would have loved to have seen what actually happened between Mr. BT. I don't know actually if he got together with Bratti.
I saw it. I saw what happened. I was on board with Bratti. Well, I was looking at Bratti, and in the background, he just got twitchy through Eau Rouge and Radion and just lost it.
And we saw that earlier, didn't we? Because when Mr. BT got out of shape at Eau Rouge another lap ago, it brought Bratti in a little bit, but because of the DRS that he was able to use when he was still within 1 second of Kowalski, he was able to use it, and that helped him pull away. And it caught him out again, didn't it?
Yes, it did. Perhaps his setup it just leads him to have struggling with keeping the track, because obviously some setups, although they may appear to be fast, as Kowalski comes into the pits, as the setups may be fast, they are sometimes very difficult to drive.
So I'm just wondering, with the leaders pitting, Alaquendi came in the lap earlier, just before the safety car was deployed. He's gone into the hard sides as well as Alaquendi. So he's avoiding all this chaos as the Renault with Kowalski rejoining into the path there of what looks like Fetbas who came in. But Pellegrini,
Bratti's been jumped by Genu.
Yeah, Genu's got ahead of Bratti. So Bratti got held up in the pits as he was waiting for other drivers coming in, and that's cost him a position to Genu. So Bratti on the hard tyres. Now, he's gone into the hard tyres, actually, unlike Kowalski and Jenny, who have gone to the mediums. Leocat and Fetbas has gone to the mediums, and Halaquendi was not able to get the jump on those who have come in for the mediums.
Yeah. So I'm surprised they went for the mediums because the pit window said hard tyres. But is this because there's a safety car and it will save tyre wear?
That could potentially be the reason for it. And if we get
Some
another
runners have gone onto hards, and I think Bratti has.
Yeah, Bratti's gone into the hard tyres, I've already mentioned, unlike Kowalski and Jenny. So Bratti will be going to the end of the race. I'd like to think that Kowalski and Jenny will go to the end of the race on their mediums, but their tyres are going to be going off the cliff towards the end. So
Andy
Pellegrini
Goat is still on softs, but is that still his AI driving?
Yeah, that'll still be his AI. That's still an AI driving at the moment. So don't worry about Randy Goat, as wherever he finishes, that won't be eligible to be scoring points if the car is being controlled by the AI. But what I was going to say was, Pellegrini, who started the race on the medium compound, leads the Belgian Grand Prix. Now, if you're Pellegrini, you want to stay out there for as long as you can, not only to keep track position, but to be on better tyres for when you come in for your mandatory pit stop.
Yes, indeed. But I'm thinking about Bratti on the hard tyres. Even though he'll have a slower pace than the two ahead of him for the tyres, will he be able to get track position with a good safety car restart and possibly have better tyre wear near the end and mount a charge?
It's possible. Bratti would need to just get as much time as he can onto those hard tyres. It'll be tougher for him to begin with than those on the mediums, but once he's got his tyres into the window, that's when he can start pouncing on Gino and Kowalski. So Bratti by no means is out of the reckoning for the race win itself. He has got a 19-point lead over Rydell, who's not racing tonight, and Alaquendi, who's third, who is racing, is a further 9 points off. So Bratti would continue.
Who's on the same strategy?
Yeah, so Alaquendi's on the same strategy, except the fact that Alaquendi came in the lap before under green flag conditions. So Bratti in 4th place, Halaquendi in 7th. Now the fastest lap point at the moment is Genu's. So Bratti would get 12 points from this race, Halaquendi would get only 6. So his lead at the top over Halaquendi would be 34 points. And I don't think Halaquendi would even move up to 2nd place. Rydell would still be 2nd.
Yeah, and looking at the standings right now, I don't think he has enough points to still get 2nd. As 7 points, no, 7th place only gives you, I believe it's 6 points, or is it?
Yeah.
Is it 4?
No, it's 6 points for 7th, 4 points is for 8th, 2 for 9th, and 1 for 10th. So that's the point system. There is also the point for the fastest lap, which I've already mentioned that Genu currently holds. Now, Genu, in the driver's standings, he missed the first 4 races before he actually started his campaign at the Red Bull Ring 3 weeks ago, where he got a brilliant 2nd place finish. And the 2nd race that he did at Silverstone last time out, he wasn't as competitive. He only ended up 10th and getting a point out of it. But he's got a great opportunity to get a good haul of points here today at Spa.
Yeah, indeed. I think looking at just some of the field, I say the medium runners will hit tyre wear just because of the amount of laps they will have to do. Because I don't know if the safety car is coming in this lap. I would think it would be, but they'd have to do 13 plus laps on those medium tyres, where the hards can do that easily. And also with the leader in the Red Bull, he will be able to pit onto softs if he can take those tyres enough of a distance.
Yeah, I would say he needs to do at least 5 more laps on those mediums. But the only problem he's going to have is fending off those who are on much fresher tyres than he will be. But on the plus side, there's no DRS for the first 2 laps of the restart, which will play into Pellegrini's hands. So Pellegrini has an opportunity to back the field up as he gets ready for the restart here at Spa. There are 13 more laps to do before this race draws to its conclusion. Pellegrini will be hoping for as good a result as he can. Remember, he started 19th on the grid, so it'd be amazing if he could get perhaps up to a podium finish by the end of this one. We'll find out soon enough anyway. So Pellegrini just continuing to weave his car together as much tyre temperature as they come through the bus stop chicane right now. So Pellegrini leads the Belgian Grand Prix. He got a nice restart as well from Kowalski. Got the Alfa Romeo in third. And and Brati's lost ground actually. He's behind Learcat. Now, was that move legal from Learcat actually? It'd be interesting to see if it was. And we've got the Haas of Vetbas down the inside of Brati. So we move up into fifth. So Brati's restart is a shocker.
Obviously not getting those hard tyres warmed up quick enough, as obviously that as they have less grip, they take a longer amount of time to warm up.
So Brati getting up to speed at the moment into the slipstream of the Haas as they come down the Camel Straight. Brati pulling out alongside, round the outside of Vetbas. Who's going to break later of the two? It's going to be the Haas.
Bit of contact.
A bit of contact, yeah, but it was fair. It was very robust up from Vetbas, but it was still fair. Brati having to slot back into 6th place and falling back into the clutches of the Mercedes of Alaquendi. Bucu gets a 3-second time penalty for exceeding track limits, which will go to his time at the end of the race.
Just looking at Brati, I think he didn't expect Pellegrini to go so late. I think he was expecting for him to go somewhere else, as he's trying round the outside of Vetbas, and he's getting a beautiful cutback. I don't think it's going to work though.
So Kowalski, half a second behind Pellegrini now, as they exit Stavelot and coming through Blanchimont. I think Pellegrini's comfortable enough at the moment with where he is. He shouldn't need to fight Kowalski too much on this occasion. We've got Brati moving up into 5th place, passing Vetbas as they go side by side into Blanchimont. But Vetbas still has the high ground and keeps his Haas in front. This is great racing between these two. They keep it just about clean.
It really is. So, I'm thinking, because Vetbas is also on relatively new tyres, the same age, but they're a softer compound, it is giving him the advantage with warm-up and overall speed.
So if you're Brati, what do? Do you still try and get in front of him, or do you wait perhaps for the DRS?
He has to get in front, I say, just because it means he can look after his tyres as soon as he gets past, because right now he's trying everything to get past.
We've got a change for the lead as well, because Kowalski's now got in front of Pellegrini as they come into Lecom. So Kowalski bringing his tyres to the window and getting the advantage on Pellegrini to take the lead now. Alaquendi in 7th place behind Brati still. Vetbas still in front of those two on his mediums. Izamado in 9th place. I'm just looking to see if there's any other battles going on, and it doesn't seem to be. So Mr. BT will be ruining that mistake coming out of Radion that saw him crash out. And Mr. BT, who he finished 6th last time out at Silverstone, which was a fairly decent result, and today was a great opportunity for him to get a podium finish out of this, but it's not to be today.
Yeah, his teammate seems to be doing a pretty good job in his stead though, as he's in 3rd place right now. But also Kowalski and Pellegrini's just got himself a penalty. Yeah,
Pellegrini exceeding track limits, which is why he's been given as many of the warnings as he has done. That's 3 warnings, which is given him a 3-second time penalty, which will go to his time at the end of the race. That will not be taken at his next pit stop. But I think he'll be thinking more about just staying within DRS range of Kowalski as they come onto the start from the straight now.
Well, he might be kicking himself, because if he, even though he'll have fresh tyres, it might cost him, because even if he does catch and pass people, he'll still have to pull a 3-second gap if he wants to keep those positions.
Now, is Pellegrini within DRS range? Was he behind, or was... Yeah, he'll get DRS actually, because he was within a second of Kowalski when they got to the detection point for this DRS zone as they come through now. So Pellegrini will use that to fend off Genu behind. And we've got Brati round the outside of Vetbas as they come into Lecom. I think Brati's going to have this one on this occasion. But no, Vetbas is fighting back on this one. So Vetbas being very, very tough here on Brati. Saying, no, I'm not going to let you have that easily. I'll take 5th place back. Thank you very much.
I think it's only a matter of time for Brati to get past. As soon as those medium tyres start to wear, Brati will just have more grip, and I reckon he will just dance past him.
So Kowalski pulling away from Pellegrini now, 1.5 seconds clear. Genu in 3rd place as he's on mediums that are a lot fresher than Pellegrini, so it's a matter of time before he gets past the Red Bull. Will he do it into the bus stop chicane, or will he wait until the Camel Straight to get the job done?
Yellow
got Ferrari
flag
up in the back.
in...
It's Res Liam. Res Liam. Now, I wonder, did he reset the car back onto the track? Be interesting to see what... We can look back on the footage to see if he actually has restarted it, but there is a rule about resetting the car back onto the track, which usually results in a disqualification.
I'm not familiar with that rule, but if he has, well... Because we saw, who was it in qualifying that spun?
It was Leocat. It was Leocat who spun in the exit of Blanchemont, and it forced Fetbus to go out wide. And this is why you don't reset your car back onto the track, because it can result in other drivers having to take evasive action when they shouldn't need to.
Indeed. Because there's been there's obviously been incidents in real life, and as we saw in qualifying, I like to point out that Sebastian Vettel got a penalty in 2019 at Canada. As we see Pellegrini, Leocat and Genu all going for it down into the chicane, and Leocat's got into second place there.
Yeah, Leocat taking 2 cars at once. So brilliant move there from Leocat to get his Williams up into second place. Now Pellegrini down to third with Genu, who'll be absolutely frustrated with that. He'll be so desperate to get ahead of the Red Bull now.
Look how quickly Leocat has got. Look how quickly he's getting away from them, though.
Yeah, and that tells you the difference on the tyres of Pellegrini to those who he is battling with. And all of this is going to allow Fetbus to close in as he tries to fend off Bratti, Halaquindi, Bryan and co.
And as I was saying earlier with the track limits and the resetting, Sebastian Vettel in the 2019 Canadian Grand Prix got a penalty for, as Bratti gets a penalty, as we were talking about it, for, I assume it's track limits, but Vettel came back on the track dangerously, and there was a bit of a, there was a bit of controversy as it should have been a penalty, but I think it should have been, because you can't come back on the track and force another driver off dangerously.
And Genu finally getting past Pellegrini whilst you've been talking about that, Tommy. Genu getting past Pellegrini at Blanchemont to move him up into the podium places. Fetbus still in 5th place ahead of Bratti, so Fetbus doing a fine job to fend off the racing point behind. But the only problem he's going to have is that he's not going to have the luxury of the DRS, unlike Bratti.
There seems to be a little bit of a train forming behind Fetbus, though.
Yeah, there's a long queue of cars looming in behind. Any one of them could get up to, like 5th place or something like that. But
Bratti's
there are
much closer this time.
Yeah, Bratti's going to be within the slipstream. He's gaining.
He has to get over to the inside.
Yeah, but he's probably gone to the inside.
Too early.
Yeah, either too early or too late there for Bratti, so he has to slot back in again. And all this time lost is allowing the leaders to shoot off into the distance. And Ray getting ahead of Samuel for 15th position. And Leocat is 2 seconds behind Kowalski, so Kowalski is beginning to pull away. Genu, who's now ahead of Pellegrini, can start going after Leocat for second position, and I think he's got a good chance to do so. Now, remember, there are 7 drivers so far who have got time penalties to their name. Pellegrini, who's the highest of those, he's got 3 seconds. Fetbus has got 9.
Ooh. Well, I'm wondering, is I was going to say, is Fetbus going to make a mistake under pressure, but Bratti has an equal chance of making that mistake under pressure because he'll be frustrated and seeing that the leaders are getting away. And as even though he's a championship leader, does he really want to cost himself by going for a move and then possibly crashing? Because he needs to get enough momentum around the outside of down the Kemmel Straight to hold it round for the next part as Pellegrini goes into the pits there. Or go up the inside and hold it and kind of do what Fetbus has been doing to him with being rough but fair.
Yeah, so Pellegrini, as I've mentioned, he would do another 5 laps after the safety car restart before he came in for the soft compound. Perhaps listen to what I was saying. So he's gone on to the soft compound, which will...
Yeah, like I said, onto the softs.
Onto the soft
He'll
compound.
have a lot of pace.
And he'll have a lot of track position, but he's way down in 16th place. Meanwhile, back at the front, Genu pulling alongside Leocat. Does he get up to second place on this occasion? No, he doesn't. Leocat braking late.
Pellegrini has a 22-second gap to catch the leader. I don't think he'll catch 22 seconds in 7 laps, but I can see him getting points.
So Pellegrini in 16th place is over 5 seconds off Samor in 15th place. It's worth mentioning he does have that time penalty. And Josh Nates is out. Yeah, Josh Nates has crashed out on the exit of Les Combes. Yeah, he's pushed too hard. He's caught the curb somewhere, or he's had a coming together with someone, and his race is over, and the virtual safety car has been deployed.
So that's really bad timing for Pellegrini, because he could have made that pit stop under the virtual safety car if he had just stayed out for one more lap.
I'd be inclined to disagree with you on that one, Tommy, actually, because if you look at where the cars are on the racetrack, when the VSC deployed, I think it may go off, actually, before Kowalski gets to the bus stop chicane. So whether Pellegrini would have gained more time by pitting under the virtual safety car may prove to be irrelevant.
Yes, but it costs so much less time underneath the virtual safety car because everyone's going at 40% speed. But as you said, that could be depending on positions on the track as well.
So Kowalski,
but he could be going for fastest lap as well.
Yep, and he is on his out lap after all, so he's had an opportunity to warm the soft tyres up anyway. And to be fair, under the virtual safety car, he may gain a little bit of time, but if he's gained a little bit of time under the virtual safety car, had he pitted, and we've got some news in because Learcat's now got a drive-through penalty for exceeding the delta time under the virtual safety car, and that's allowing Geno to pull alongside into Eau Rouge. This is like Mark Webber and Fernando Alonso all over again. Learcat Geno gets up to second place by passing Learcat, but Learcat's race is gone from, if that's bad enough for him, well, he's got a drive-through penalty to serve.
Well, he wasn't using his DRS there, even though it was available, so I'm not quite sure if he just didn't notice it, or I don't see a reason why he wouldn't choose to. Wouldn't choose to use it, but yeah, he just wasn't using his DRS there, and he got caught out a bit by the virtual safety car, and got himself a penalty.
So Brati's in 5th position. Vetbas still ahead of him, actually, who's up to 4th, which will become 3rd once Learcat comes in to serve that drive-through penalty. This is going to cost Learcat dear, isn't it?
It really is, but I'm surprised Vetbas, as there's a yellow flag in Sector 2.
Res Liam's gone off again on the exit of Bruxelles, and he's got damage to the right-hand side of his front wing. Now, be careful, Liam, don't deliberately crash the car. There is a rule when it comes to that. Now, there is a rule, actually, Tommy, in case you didn't notice, that if you intentionally crash your car, you would get a hefty punishment from the stewards for it.
Well, I should think so, because that's basically fixing the race in some ways. As I'm surprised Vetbas has actually kept ahead of Brati for this long, and as Brati's just tapped him going into the bus stop. But Vetbas is doing an extremely good job to keep him behind.
Mm-hmm. So Learcat coming in to serve that drive-through penalty. And this is going to drop him down probably to where about Pellegrini is actually.
Brati's got the run, Vetbas.
So as they come through Eau Rouge, Brati, the exit of Radion, Pellegrini setting a new fast start on his new soft tyres, and Samor's out. Samor has retired in the pits actually, so there's nothing too dramatic about that, but he's calling it a day, and so he becomes the 4th retirement of this race. And Vetbas still stays in front there, got his elbows out to keep his Haas ahead of the racing point.
He's doing a fantastic job defensively. I'm surprised he's been able to do it. But maybe the tyres will start to just wear out a little bit more now.
And Liam doing the wise thing, actually, in terms of the way to retire, is to come back into the pits, retire the car, and that way it won't affect the racing.
Oh, Brati tried to go around the outside of Pouon. He's back to the inside.
So Brati looking to get the move done into Fania this time, but Vetbas moving everywhere he can to keep hold of the position. Now, he's got to be careful not to move more than once when it comes to changing the position before the braking zone. But we are riding on board with Brati, and this is an opportunity to see if Vetbas decides to keep his defensive change of direction.
I'm going to add to what you said, moving more than once. Of course, that is the rule in Formula 1. But in certain other forms of racing, like karting, you're not actually allowed to defend. So it could cost Vetbas if he defends too aggressively and possibly cause a collision. But he seems to be doing a good job at holding it at the moment.
So Brati with DRS on the start finish straight as they enter lap 18. He goes to the inside of the Haas driver. He's backed out of it actually. I wonder if he's just going to wait until the Camel Straight to get the move done, which I think is going to be Brati's best opportunity but they come down out of La Source into Eau Rouge. And
He's much closer on this occasion.
He's much closer, and this is surely going to be third place now for Bratti. And Fetbas's resistance is about to be broken here by the racing point, or is it? Will he go to the inside? He's got to be careful because he's got a Mercedes on the other side, and it's
it's fantastic!
Brilliant move from Fetbas. Came back into the final podium position there ahead of Bratti. He had Quendi to the right-hand side of him. He was almost engulfed as they came into Les Combes, and he was able to just break the lead of the lot and get his ass back through again. This is incredible racing.
And also, I would like to point out that Quendi does not have a penalty.
Yeah, Quendi does not have a penalty, so as it stands, he would be going up to the podium places, which would see him close in on Bratti in the title race.
Indeed. That was a fantastic move from Fetbas. He knew that the Mercedes was on the inside of him and that the fact that Bratti was on the outside, but he just braked later and went for it. I think the other two were being a bit cautious because they realised that they were there, but Fetbas just broke as late as he possibly could and managed to keep it all clean.
So Bratti, will he decide to go for a move at the bus stop chicane? No, he decides to sit behind again. Fetbas goes in too deep. And Bratti got a kick of oversteer as he got over the curb. So
will this annoy Bratti though? Because Fetbas has 9 seconds while Bratti has 3. So is Bratti just looking to try and pull that 3-second gap so he doesn't get caught by the guys behind him?
That's a very good point there, Tommy. Bratti all over the back of Fetbas. This is probably the closest he has been. Now, he's got to time this one actually. Don't try and get in front too soon, because we know what Fetbas can do. He'll just lunge down the inside. Bratti going to the inside. Oh, he got into the grass as he came into Les Combes. He sodded back in, but that was rather naughty from Fetbas, the way he defended there.
That reminded me of sort of how Mazepin was driving last year in the F2 races, pushing people onto the grass. That was very cheeky from Fetbas there.
So yeah, he didn't quite leave the car's width on the inside there. He knew what he was trying to do. Make Bratti go the long way. Well, I say the long way. I think Bratti read what Fetbas was going to do from previous laps, but yet Fetbas decided to maybe be a little bit too aggressive on the inside. The stewards will have a look at that because Bratti may have a case on it.
Well, you can also make the case, as I said, in other forms of racing, that stuff does actually contribute to a penalty, even though it's not in the rules. Stuff like if someone's got a penalty, and you're holding up someone significantly who hasn't, and it could contribute to a penalty, not within the rules, just because it's seen as you're just causing someone to be unnecessarily slow.
And Izamado's shown that he's been disqualified from the session. He had a spin into the barrier actually. He tried to rejoin as he was pointing the wrong way, but then the game decided to disqualify him, which is a shame for Izamado. It's been a tough event for him tonight for sure. But we're on lap 20 now. 3 laps to go. Bratti all over the back of Fetbas, as he has been since the restart.
Bratti really needs to actually get ahead of him before the Kemmel Straight, I reckon, as he tried a few laps ago, but he backed out of it. Because Fetbas is able just to push him wider at the chicane here.
But Fetbas doing really well, actually. I think that was fair that time, actually. Fetbas was still within a car's length alongside him.
Bratti's got the momentum, though.
Yeah, Bratti on the better tyres at this stage. Oh, the wheel to wheel between the two. What about Fetbas? He has to concede the position at that point. But Bratti finally, through his best efforts, has got himself up into 3rd place. And boy, did it take him so long.
Well, if Fetbas can hold on, I reckon he might have a chance of getting back past, because he seems to have very good straight line speed. Even Bratti in the DRS couldn't get past him for a number of laps. So, but he is sliding about. But he might have the legs on it just to, have the momentum just to get back past.
And you can see the queue of cars looming in behind. Now, if you take the penalties into consideration as well, Bratti's got 3 seconds worth, Fetbas has got 9, Alaquindi's got none, Brian's got 3. So we could potentially see Sassy Pickle go up to 4th place at the end of this race with the penalties applied.
Fetbas trying it back on Bratti again.
Yeah, Bradley having to go defensive at the bus stop chicane. Fetbus has to stop back in behind. He'll have DRS on the start-finish straight, and he'll have DRS on the camel straight after they go through Eau Rouge and Radion.
Sparati kicking himself for choosing the hard tyres because, as we've seen, Fetbus is able to take these softer mediums a further distance and make it work.
So Fetbus got decent drive actually out of Eau Rouge. He'll get DRS behind Bratti as they go up the camel straight. He's got to be careful as well because there's Halaquendi looming in behind. Uses his DRS and he's got back through again.
Brilliant racing this is.
Well, we saw some brilliant racing at Silverstone and Austria, but this is something different.
As I was saying, Fetbus seems to have very good straight line speed, so perhaps he's running lower wings on his setup because he just breezed back past Bratti, and Bratti had been trying for lap on lap with DRS and just couldn't get past.
Bratti still frustrated, still behind him. Sassy Pickles' race takes a turn for the worse as he's got a 3-second time penalty of his own. So as it stands, with the time penalties applied, it would be Kowalski ahead of Genu, then it's Halaquendi, and I think it's going to be Pastor. We've got a spinner.
Flag.
It's Pellegrini who's gone for a spin. He's got damage to his front wing, and that is surely his race compromise. He's got 16 seconds worth of time penalty, so he's had a frustrating one since he went onto the soft tyres.
Bratti's very close to Fetbus yet again, and he's going for it into the bus stop chicane. Fetbus actually brakes a little bit early.
I think he did that on purpose, actually, to allow Bratti through. And I don't know who's got DRS, actually. Bratti's using his DRS now, so he can use it on the start-finish straight, but that's all he's going to get. Whereas Fetbus is going to get DRS on the camel straight, as we are now on the final lap of this race.
I think Fetbus is going to get this. He's just got extremely good straight line speed. Perhaps the commentator's curse, but it's extremely good straight line speed as Bratti's weaving a little bit.
But Fetbus is... Yeah, I was just going to say, Fetbus is through. He even did it before the corners. So that DRS proving to be very, very effective in this race. Fetbus gets back through into third on the road anyway, but he won't be keeping that position.
He won't, no. But maybe he's just doing it for pride.
Oh, it's a collision. It's Cross Nation and BQ came together, would you believe it? Cross Nation is out. Luckily, we're on the final lap anyway, but there's been a collision between BQ, who just seems to have come across on Cross Nation as they got by, but that's something I think the stewards will need to have a look at. Fetbus has got another 3 seconds worth of time penalty, which will drop him well down the order, but that was a very, very, very strange coming together. But here's Kowalski, who's coming through Blanchimont for the last time. He's over 3 seconds in front of Jenny, so he doesn't have any penalties to worry about. But he is coming through the bus stop chicane. Kowalski dominating this race. Qualifying on pole position. Coming through the last 2 turns. Onto the start-finish straight. Kowalski crosses the line to win the Belgian Grand Prix at Spa. Genu comes home in second place for Alfa Romeo. It's another brilliant finish for him. And we go to the battle for third place. And it's going to be Halaquendi in the Mercedes who takes that final podium spot away from Fetbus. Pastor will be 4th, Bratti in 5th, Brian 6th, Sassy Pickle 7th, Fetbus is currently 8th at the moment, Ray is 9th, Buku, who will most certainly be under investigation, will cross the line in 10th, Pellegrini will cross the line 11th, but with his time penalty, Learcat will be ahead of him. But what a strange last lap that was, Tommy.
Indeed. I didn't quite see the incident there at the end, but I was looking at the Bratti and Fetbus battle, and Bratti didn't even get past him, even though he does finish ahead of him due to penalties. But will that just frustrate him even more, the fact that Fetbus was fighting so hard for a position he wasn't going to keep?
So Kowalski out onto the podium for the Renault team. I'm just looking to see if he's already won a race this season. I think I did mention he already won. Yeah, he won in Zandvoort in round 3. So it's the second time he's won a race this season, which moves him up to 4th in the championship, with Learcat not scoring any points whatsoever. With Quendi finishing 3rd, he's obviously picked up more points than Bratti in this race. I want to see who got the fastest lap. That was Pellegrini, but he finished outside the points. So Kowalski is your race winner, ahead of Genu. There's Alaquendi in 3rd place, Pastor 4th. There's Bratti in 5th, Brian 6th, Sussy Pickle in 7th, Fet Bass with that 12-second time penalty down to 8th place. Ray was 9th, so at least he picks up a couple of points. BQ, he will most certainly be under investigation for that collision with Cross Nation on the last lap, takes the final point. Pellegrini got the fastest lap, but he won't keep that point as he finished outside the top 10. Lee Cat was 12th, very disappointing for him. Randy Coates, 13th. Cross Station crossed out, but at least he's still classified in 14th position. Liam out, as well as Sammore, Justinator, Mr. BT, Manajuv King, and Izamadu. And in regards to the championship, Alaquendi closes in on Bratti by 4 points, so he is now 24 points behind him, but he is still 3rd place in the championship. Tommy, your last thoughts?
It was a very good race, particularly made entertaining by those two battling, Fetbass and Bratti. I'd say that's the main entertainment for the race.
Very much so, and very much so, I should say, and what a show it brought as well. Particularly the battle between Fetbass, Bratti, and Ko. That was brilliant for the last half of the race since the safety car restart. Well, that's all for today. Thank you, Tommy, for joining me. It's been brilliant having you on board, and I can't wait to do any more events with you very, very soon. And I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. No problem indeed. And another reminder of where the United Racing League will be racing next for the Division 4 category. It'll be at Monza in a week's time on the 4th of June, 7 p.m. British Summer Time. I'm Tom Cairns, he is Tommy, and we'll speak to you again soon when the United Racing League returns.